Hey, bunghole sniffers, it's Bourbon and More Bourbon. I'm your host, Hunter from Tampa Bay, Florida. And today we have a very controversial bottle, a very polarizing bottle. This is the third release of Old Forester 1924. Now, before we get into the glass, please remember to subscribe, turn on notifications. Forester is a very popular brand under the Brown-Forman umbrella. Brown-Forman also houses Jack Daniels and Woodford Reserve, and Old Forester, I would say, is kind of number two in their lineup. They have a core lineup called the Whiskey Row series, and most of the releases are within like the $40 to $55 range. They do have some um, cheaper releases, like an 86 proof and 100 proof bourbon, and I think 100 proof rye that are great for cocktails and cheaper, maybe $25 to $30 bottles. Good beginner bourbons and ryes or great cocktail mixers. And the Whiskey Row series has a toasted bourbon, a cask strength, a bottled and bond, and then an original, um, which are all decent bourbons. But for the sake of this video, we're diving into the top dog of the Whiskey Row series. This 10-year expression is actually a unique mash bill, different than the rest of the releases in the Whiskey Row series. This one is actually the Early Times Baldwin and Bond and King of Kentucky mash bill. It is 79 corn, 11 rye, and 10 malted barley, and is the third release since its inception in 2024. Um, from what I have heard, this is supposed to be the best release so far, and it is polarizing and controversial because of the price point on this release is actually much higher than the rest of the Whiskey Row series. It is almost $70 or $80 more than the rest of the releases. This one comes in at about $120 MSRP and sometimes goes up to about $150 or more. So there's a lot of people that think of the 1924 by Old Forester as a bad value whiskey. It should be closer to the rest of the Whiskey Row series, but in my mind, it's a completely different entity. It is a special release. It's 10 years old. It's a different mash bill, and it is just so much better than the rest of the Whiskey Row series. And hopefully, this third release is also as good, if not better, as rumor has it. It's pretty phenomenal this year. So, we're about to dive into the glass. I do want to briefly touch on a pet peeve of mine, um, or a couple pet peeves popular right now in the bourbon world. There's a lot of companies that are going to 700 milliliters bottle sizes for like international releases, and the prices are staying the same. And thankfully, this is one of the ones this year that did not change. This is still 750 milliliters. So kudos to you, Old Forester, for keeping this at 750. Please don't drop it in the future. Um, this does look like the rest of the Whiskey Row series, but it has the purple ribbon, and obviously says 10 years. So it might be hard to find these because you're looking at the rest of the Whiskey Row series and they're so similar looking. Um, but without further ado, let's get into the glass. There's just a sweet oak profile that you don't get on many other whiskeys. It's it's got a cinnamon that's covered in like cherry compote maybe blackberry or like a raspberry cream. Brown Foreman, usually with Old Forester or Jack Daniels, you're going to get a banana note or like a brown sugar. I get a little bit of the each of those in this release. More brown sugar, really brown sugar for days, but just a hint of banana, like a banana bread, so like a baked faint banana, not really like a runts or a fresh sharp banana. Um, what I don't know what a sharp banana is. All bananas are soft. All bananas are dull. What the heck is a sharp banana? I'm gonna find out and I'll let you know. Um, where were we? Um, the nose is great. It's got oak. There's no ethanol. Lots of fruit, lots of spice, lots of dark sugars. A little bit of banana, like I said, and it's got a prickly, zesty effervescence that it keeps me coming back for more. But we don't smell whiskey all day long. We got to try it. So let's take a little sip. And this is Cherry Cola Bomb. Oh my God. From what I gather, from what I remember, the first two releases had kind of a pencil lead, metallic note, kind of like an MGP whiskey. It was a little bit up front, but it faded away, so you kind of deal with it. This doesn't have any of the bad notes that I get from the first two releases. This is delicious. Um, it's a little thin and watery. Um, the finish is about medium. It's got some heat on the finish. Not no heat up front. No Kentucky hug. I'm getting a good mouthfeel. It's covering my tongue. It's numbing my gums, but it's not giving me like a heartburn sensation or anything negative like that. It just kind of lingers on the tongue for about 20 seconds, and then it's gone. There's a little bit of powder cocoa, a little bit of like a marzipan, sweet, doughy confectionery treat. Um, Almonds, like an almond liqueur where it's almost cherry. Amaretto, that's probably a better way to say it. Amaretto. Oh, this is really nice. Um, so I've got a lot of notes for you. I would say there are two products that are kind of in this realm that are more expensive that people gravitate towards that I think are more overrated than this, that I think this is the better buy. One of them is an Old Forester product, flat out birthday bourbon by Old Forester. Um, about 225, I think, MSRP. Maybe it's lower, maybe it's 180. It's somewhere around there. It never retails for that. You always see them on the shelves for $500 to $1,000. They're ridiculous. This has all that on the nose, and maybe about 60 to 70% of that flavor on the palate. So it's almost there. It's so close. I would rather have two or three of these than one birthday bourbon. The next one that this one reminds me of that I think this is the better bargain is the new King of Kentucky small batch. Is the same mash bill but mixed with Old Forester juice. So it's kind of less King of Kentucky than this is. This is more of a baby King of Kentucky, King of Kentucky Jr., Queen of Kentucky, whatever you want to call it. than the actual King of Kentucky small batch they came out with. This is actually same distillate as the old single barrels that they need to bring back and stop doing the small batch. Um, 300, 250 to 350, 400, 500 bucks, whatever those go for, is ridiculous. They're good. They're not that good. Um, they are not anywhere close as good as the King of Kentucky single barrels. Those are some of the best things I've ever tried in my life. Um, Now, this has just a tiny bit of that DNA that the small batch also has, but it's negligible. This is a third of the price, basically. I'd rather have three of these than one of the King of Kentucky small batches. I think if you get those, you'll be kind of disappointed, especially if you've tried the single barrels before. This is just so much a better value, and I don't understand why people say this is a bad value whiskey when this is Baby King of Kentucky. I get that it's more expensive than the rest of the Whiskey Row series, but it should be. It's 10 years old. It's a different mash bill. It's King of Kentucky juice. It's early times Baldwin and Bond times 20. It's really good. Early times Baldwin and Bond is going to be the cheapest similarity, around 30 bucks for the blue top ones that were still being distilled and released by Brown Foreman. The newer ones that are in the square bottle, like the Jim Beam bottles that are Barton juice, um, those ones I've heard suck. Don't get those. Avoid those at all costs. I think they're $20 for a 750 versus 1 liter for $20 or $25 in the glass bottle screw tops. So if you see the blue screw tops, or even if you can find an older black plastic screw top, even better. Those are even harder to find. But um, that's the same distillate as this, just at least 4 years old. This is 10 years old. You're going to get a lot of the same qualities, just kind of stripped down. Um, Other than that, I do think this is very similar to Stag. If you can find Stags, they're going to be a little hotter, but they have a lot of the same profile. You waste your money on Birthday Bourbon or President's Choice or King of Kentucky Small Batch. Get a Michter's 10, $200 to $300. Those are actually worth the price. Very similar profile. Brown sugar, cherry, raspberry, chocolate, brown sugar, oak. That would be a very comparable bottle to this. This is not quite as good as the worst Victor's 10 I've had, but very close. Same, almost same ballpark. Um, Value wise, though, still, I think $120, Old Forester 1924. You can't really go wrong. Um, this is maybe my fourth bottle overall. I had one bottle the first year and two bottles the second year. And I'm definitely buying one next year if they keep this up, as long as they don't drop to 700 milliliters, because that just drives me nuts. But um, anywho, remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, drop a like, drop a comment. Tell us how you like the video. Tell us what you want to see next. Hit me up on TikTok or Instagram. And thank you for having fun with us. I had a great time. Can't wait to talk to you guys on the next video.